Today I'm going to walk you through the Kansas corn breakout lesson for second grade titled, How Does It Grow? Hi, I'm Josh Runyan. I'm a sixth grade teacher at Woodrow Wilson Elementary in Manhattan, Kansas. Today I'm going to walk you through the Kansas corn breakout for second grade titled, How Does It Grow? This is a really fun breakout that is going to work on students' math skills with adding and subtracting with smaller numbers, and also learning that one of the main science concepts that we want a second grader to understand, that plants depend on water and light to grow. And this is going to be a very complementary lesson with How Does It Grow from the lesson that you can get from the kansascornstem.com website and have it mailed to your classroom. So let's skip right into the overview. This lesson can be used as a standalone lesson to introduce inquiry and what a plant needs to grow. Alternatively, it can be tied in as an informal assessment for the Kansas corn lesson, How Does It Grow? The breakout lesson includes activities focusing on growing a plant, subtraction, plant habitats, and the corn growth cycle. This will help motivate and engage your students' interest in corn and planting in the classroom. So as we move forward through the lesson, the most important thing that we're going to want to look at is always a story. How are you going to engage your students to the lesson? So the story is titled, How Does It Grow? You can project this probably for second graders onto your board. If you want to print it off and give them an example, you're more than welcome to do that as well. All of these printouts are found at the kansascornstem.com website. Make sure they have them out and ready. This is a color lock, so when you do print them off, make sure that you print everything in color because one of the locks has color on it, and we want to make sure that your students are successful with that. So let's check out the story. Has your teacher ever tasked you with getting the daily lesson together? What about a lesson to prepare the class garden? That's just what happened to Lavelle on a Monday. Lavelle was minding his own business when Mrs. Young called on him. He wasn't sure how to respond to her task, other than with a resounding, "Of course." Lavelle has 30 minutes to get all of the resources out and ready. The worst part is Mrs. Young forgot the answers. Lavelle needs help. Are you up for the task? And that just gets the students hooked to our lesson. As we look at some of the locks that you're going to need to have the 3-digit lock. With the 3-digit lock, make sure that these are just your numbers that turn. The answer you're going to have from top to bottom, first, second, third, we're going to go right inside these circles. So when we look at the 3-digit lock sheet, plants depend on things to survive. What are the 3 most important things every plant needs to grow? We kind of help them out with the pictures. Hopefully they understand water, sunlight, and then air is actually even in the image on this picture. And then they're going to count up the letters and put that in our box. This is going to be a format that we use in a lot of our breakout lessons. So as they move up to 3rd grade, to 4th grade, to 5th grade, they're going to have something like this. And if you do breakout lessons outside of some of the Kansas Corn STEM lessons, this is a lesson in a format within breakout that is used most commonly. So as we move on to the 4-digit lock sheet, Lavelle was stuck. He thought he had everything ready for his class garden, but his teacher told him to recheck his work, help Lavelle find his mistakes. And the key word to make sure that students help out with this one, this is probably the harder lock to get, is just helping Lavelle find his mistakes. So Lavelle is going to fill a bucket. He has 35 cups of water for his class garden. His teacher told him he only needed 28. So his mistake is he's 7 off. So 7 is going to be your first number. Kids can write on this. I would suggest and just say, feel free to do all your math on the sheet. Then you also have some evidence later. If they're not getting it, you could pull students aside and help them with that math later as well. Again, the 4-digit, you're going to go top to bottom. And then you're just going to make sure you're counting the mistakes. So on the second one, he was counting out corn seeds. He only counted 20. There are 28 students in his class, so 8 being his mistake would be our second answer. There are 24 students in the class. Lavelle grabbed 33 shovels. Well, again, you're looking for his mistakes. 9 would be the correct answer you're looking for here. Now, the hardest one is going to be the last one. And it looks at that standard for second grade of looking at a clock and how usually they're going to misread it between 10, if you look at it, it says 10:10. But most students sometimes when they're first looking at these hand clocks are going to read it as 2:10. So that's the mistake that we're looking for. So he thought it said 2:10. How many hours was he off? Well, the correct answer is 10:10. So you're going to count off 1, 2, 3, 4. So you count from 10 to 2:10, and then you're going to get 4 as your answer, and then you have completed your 4-digit lock. As we look at the second grade color lock sheet, this really gets into the different habitats for plants and of all the different areas that plants survive. What do they need to be able to survive in different ecosystems? So you have corn, a cactus, pine tree, a palm tree, and a houseplant, which most kids have in their house. If not, hopefully you have one in your classroom. And then you're going to correlate it with the pictures on the right. They are color-based. Students can draw the line from corn to the cornfield, cactus to the desert, and then they're going to go in order from that corn, cactus, pine tree, palm tree, and then the houseplant. And that's going to give them their order for their color lock sheet. And on that color lock sheet, it's very similar to the sheet that you're going to see for the word lock and the number lock. The color lock is actually separate. So you're going to have to take them off and add it to either the word lock or the directional number lock. And you're just going to, all the different ways to change the lock can be found on the kansascornstem.com website, or you can always look at how to change a lock on YouTube with some of the Breakout EDU tips. But just know that you're actually going to have to use the color locks. We're going to use the word lock, so don't use the word lock. You're going to want to use the directional or number lock on that. And then finally, you get down to the second grade word lock sheet. This is just a fun one for kids to understand water, and we actually have the different growth states of corn, and water is just a scrambled word. They just have to put it in order, W-A-T-E-R. And then water is actually the answer on the word lock. So when they do the locks, just make sure they go from left to right with that Breakout EDU logo on the end. So the W-A-T-E-R, you should read it like you would read a text, water. And then finally, the last sheet that you would print off is just the congratulations, you broke out. So this sheet, when we are setting up our lock, there are 2 different ways you can do this depending on if your class has done a breakout. On the sheet says you can use a key lock. There's not any locks that are associated with the key lock. So if you wanted to have all of the locks on the main lock, you may do so and then have the key lock on this. When the students break out with all your locks that we just reviewed, they're going to come up to a small box inside the box. You may do it that way. And then have your reward inside here. Twizzlers are a really good corn-based product that kids love to have. If you have a different class reward system set up, you may do that, or whatever you would like to do. So the other way that we have it set up is that you're actually going to take the 3-digit lock, just because this lesson is a little bit easier than some of the other ones, that they're not going to see that 3-digit lock at the beginning. So again, take your congratulations, you broke out, fold it up into a nice sheet. You're going to put it in your lock it up, and then you can put that inside here. Don't forget to put your reward of whatever you decide to do in your small box, and then lock it. That would at least give a little bit of a challenge to the students, because then they're going to fret when they look at that 3-digit lock. Like, I don't have this, Mr. Runyan. It's like, what do I need to do? It's like, well, maybe you got to unlock this box first, and then there's another one. So it just gives them a 2-step process. So as soon as you have that one locked up, just go ahead and double check your locks. Make sure that everything is good. When you set them up, make sure that you set the students up for success. Because when you lock it, you want to make sure that they can easily access the numbers or the words, so that they're not trying to turn the box around and manipulate it. So you want to try to get it so that the numbers are up like that. So then when they play with it, the box is sitting down and the numbers are up. So then you can go ahead, if you choose to do it with a 3-digit lock on the inside of the box, you're just going to go ahead and put all of the remaining locks on this, and then you are good to go on the lesson. As we continue to look at the lesson, if we finish our lesson and you still have time, 30 minutes is really probably the max time that I would allow for second grade. So you can get that lock that we mentioned at the beginning and get the breakout timer and go ahead and just have that going on your projection sheet or however you want to do timers in your class. I would go ahead and do it that way. So when you are finished with your lesson and you're ready to wrap it up and you have that 30-minute timer set and everybody's done, or you're close to where you're about needing to finish with science class, go ahead and go back to your sheet. We have some reflection and conclusion questions that you can ask at the end of the lesson, or sometimes it's always good to do a lesson in 2 different days where you can do the bulk of the lesson and then you kind of wrap it up the next day and just reflect on what did we learn. I like doing that and having everybody in a circle and just kind of having the kids play off of each other's answers. So the first question, can the outdoors be too dry or too cold for some plants, but not others? And then the second part, what about being too hot? And then it just gets kids to understand maybe houseplants. Well, where did houseplants originate from? And we just have a little hint here. Houseplants actually originated in tropical or subtropical climates similar to indoor conditions. So would that plant be able to be outside during the winter in Kansas? Those are good questions to ask. Number 2, what do all plants need to live and grow? Hopefully at the end of this lesson, 2 of the most important things that students are going to understand that all plants need would be air and water. Number 3, do plants need the same things when they're just sprouting from the seed versus once they've grown leaves? That's a really good question. Number 4, can plants live in any environment? Why or why not? And this would be a great lesson after you've done the physical lesson that you can do in class. You can also do this breakout lesson online, depending on if you're online or in person. So when you finish this lesson, just feel free, if you have any questions, to get on the kansascornstem.com website and send them our way. That's a wrap. Thank you.